Young, black and Tory. 3 words that describe my next guest, Samuel Kasumu, who's the founder of a youth employment charity and the author of a new book calling for Britain's African and Caribbean communities to join the Conservative Party. And Samuel joins BBC Radio Nottingham this afternoon. A very warm welcome to you, Samuel.
Hi, Reya.
Early this month, we heard about Sayeeda Warsi, the first and only Muslim woman to hold a cabinet post, being dropped, leaving an all-white Tory cabinet for the first time in a decade. Let's be honest, the Conservative Party isn't the party for Black Britain, is it?
I wouldn't put it that way. I think what we can say is that the Conservative Party has failed historically to engage with a particular community. But when you look at today, the Conservatives went from having only 2 ethnic minority members of Parliament to 11 in 2010, and of course for the new intake of ethnic minority MPs, it'll be wholly inappropriate just to promote them straight to the cabinet in 2 years. But what David Cameron has done is push them on through the ranks. So Helen Grant now has 2 portfolios stretching across 2 departments. We've got Sam Gyimah, who's a Ghanaian MP, who's now the Parliament's private secretary. So progress is being done, but it's going to take a long time to fix the issues, that we've had with the party over the last, 50-odd years.
Tell us a bit about how you ended up joining the party. Are you from a staunchly Tory-supporting family background?
No, of course not. Does that exist if you're African Caribbean? When I was in student politics, I was engaging a lot with the left, so Labour, etc., etc. When I was starting up my social enterprise, it was in the height of the economic crisis as well in 2008. And I just felt like there must be an alternative to thinking one particular way. And I looked at a lot of the values of the Conservative Party, so the emphasis on family, on education, being tough on crime and the causes of crime, enterprise culture, the roles that communities play, etc., etc. And I thought, well, this is a party that doesn't look like me, but it probably sounds a bit more like me. So I thought, well, it would be an interesting challenge for me to enter this party and see how I can make a difference, but also how I could open up the doors to, people that were from similar backgrounds to myself.
For our parents' and grandparents' generation, who faced Tory rhetoric like Enoch Powell's Rivers of Blood speech and the infamous 60s campaign, if you want an N-word, I'll say, for a neighbour, vote Labour, surely you feel quite uncomfortable campaigning for more ethnic minorities to join a political party with a history like that?
I think it depends on what your objectives are. My objective is not to make friends with politicians. I couldn't care less about, what their thoughts are on particular subjects. But when I look at the nation right now, I know that if you're a black male, over 50% of young black males are unemployed in the UK. 75% of African Caribbeans live in 88 of the poorest wards. We have deep issues with Bangladeshi communities and education. When I look at all of that, I say if you only have one party talking about equality and things like that, and only have one party that has people from our backgrounds involved, then we're not going to be competitive in this nation for many years to come. I couldn't care less about, certain ignorant politicians like, Enoch Powell and Lord Tebbit, etc., etc. They are who they are, and it's not my role to change their opinions, but my role is to see how I can open the doors of Parliament to people like me so we can make more of a difference in our communities.
You launched the book this week. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, so the book's called Will in the Race. It kind of has 3 parts. The first 2 sections kind of talks about my story, growing up as a normal young black male, but also the challenges I faced trying to, break into the worlds of politics and initially in business when I set up my organisation. But the final part kind of comments on what we've been talking about, which is the challenges for the Conservatives going forward. We know that only 16% of ethnic minorities voted Conservative in 2010. Conservatives cannot win a majority without appealing or broadening its appeal. But that also offers us, great opportunities to see how we can, create a new conversation with the political system. So I hope it's a good read for whoever, picks it up.